person to offer all I can to everybody else.
Yeah.
So I don't really relate to
Well,
the people.
may I ask you all a question? Have you ever traveled to a third world country?
No.
Well, when you do that, your perspective on life will change. And I have spent a significant portion of my life in the third world country. I lived in the Philippines for a year in a very poor place where people made, the women, I remember meeting women there made $1.50 a day for working 12 hours. The guys that farmed make $5 a day for hard farm work. Okay, this is the common way it is around the world. And in those places, almost everybody is poor. Okay, so there's a lot more community because they're all in it together. Everybody is making jack crap, and everybody struggles to buy clothes or food. Not everyone. There is the upper class, and then in the upper class in a lot of the developing nations or third world nations, whatever you call them, the poor nations, they really treat the poor people bad. And it's like, wow, so it's even worse there. But there's way fewer rich people. There's no real middle class. It's just really poor, a little kind of bit of a middle class, kind of in between. But it's mostly this large class of poor people. And a small percentage of them, maybe 5%, that have a lot, have everything they could, and their money stretches really far because of their economy. So in those places, when you've had that perspective, your perspective of poverty changes a lot. When I travel, I'm planning to travel to Africa in a few months. I don't go as a tourist. I go and say I'm going to live there as a local, and while I'm there, I'm going to offer community service projects. Every time I go out the door, I have balloons for the kids, I have candy for the kids. I purposely choose to in my budget, I put at least $15 a day goes out to the people through ways like I choose some children, hey, let's go buy some chicken. They're really hungry, you know, they just love that. It's like, okay, let's go, what do you want? You want some chicken? I pick some kids, you know, the ones I kind of like or whatever, and you know, and it's cool. We have fun or whatever, and then I like balloons are always a good thing. But so there's that. So if I encourage you to go to, most of the world is poor, and it's not their fault. They have no way. They can't travel. They can't do any of these things that we can do from privileged countries. So I had a little bit of respect.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
As a kid, like, we used to live off food stamps and going to food banks all the time, so I knew a lot of different people, mostly Hispanic and some from foreign countries that were like really poor, didn't speak the language. My mom, she's a sweet woman. She loves to give everything she can to whoever she can, whenever she can. And whenever we went to those food banks, we would sit there, everybody would eat, we would all eat together, hot dogs, whatever they would give at the church, and we would all have our boxes, and whenever we wanted to switch food or like give each other what we wanted, we were all friendly. And my mom specifically, she knew a foreign woman, and she didn't know, she was very mute, and my mom, she didn't know how to communicate, so she would just communicate like through her hands and through like her facial expressions. She didn't know sign language or any of that, neither did the foreign woman, but my mom would communicate with her, and my mom would give her rides back and forth from the food bank, and we would have our boxes and we would go to their house and put it there. My mom just tried to make us understand that because we aren't privileged doesn't mean we can't like help other people that are in the same situation as us, no matter who they are, like what language they speak, what color they are, what age, what height, anything, doesn't matter.
Because of that, you know, the universe or God or whatever you want to call it will bless you more. There's the old parable that I'm just going to paraphrase it really quickly, but the man that gives is a millionaire, and he gives $100,000 away, let's say. Well, or the woman that has $5 and she gave $3 away. Which one is favored more in heaven? You know, the woman that only had $5 gave 3 of it away. Okay, that shows more than a millionaire that if he gives $50,000 away, that he still has all of this money in the bank. He still has more money than he needs. Yeah. Well, that woman that gave half the money she had, well, she needed that money, but she still gave it away. So you always, if you have something to give, you can give it, and if you can always trust it'll come back.
how do you think money became so controlled?
Well, money is very powerfully addictive. It gives, it's a competition. It represents value, and so if you have it, then you have power, and people want power. So the more they have, the more power they have, the more they can do what they want to do. They can travel. They can go to nice restaurants. They can get a nice car, things like that. And so. But money is purposely designed to have an element of scarcity, so that there is only so much going around that not everybody can have a whole piece of the pie, or whatever. So it's designed by the people that have designed the system that there's just enough money floating around that it's inevitable some people aren't going to have some, and that some people are better at making money through investment, stock market. They're gifted at it. Or they train themselves so that they can extract a large amount of that pie, you know. And other people, they're maybe more artistic or whimsical, and they're just not focused on that. So maybe they're bringing a lot of value to the world, but it's not the dollar value for what they're doing is not near as high.
Do you think that that's overlooked? The people who bring not maybe financial value, but artistic value to the world?
Artist is unless you're a very, very famous artist or you are making records, you basically the starving musician, you know, or the starving artist. Yeah. So.
Have you ever heard the parable of the prodigal son?
I probably have. I'm not a big Christian guy, so I don't really go to church.
No. So this farmer, he has two sons, and one son, he likes to drink and party and have fun all day long, right? The other son is a hard worker. He works the fields all day, comes home, doesn't disrespect anybody, and eventually the partying son eventually goes off, goes to party and wastes himself. And the son comes back and says, Dad, I fucked up. I don't have any more money. I don't know what I'm doing in life. And I don't know what to do anymore. And the dad says, come here. It'll be all right. I'm gonna give you a place. We're gonna give you a place to stay. We're gonna give you food to eat. And the hardworking son goes, you don't give me anything extra. Why not? And the dad teaches the son, it doesn't matter what you have, what you wear. You're still
Maybe that partying
I'm
son.
paraphrasing a little bit, but
yeah. Maybe that partying son. Maybe he made a lot of people happy with his partying, or something. I don't know. Or maybe he made a lot of girls happy. I don't know.
Do you think that there's a lot of potential that we overlook in the world?
Yes.
Oh, vast
people.
Huge.
Do you think a lot of people sometimes don't have the opportunity to reach one's potential?
Yes.
I mean, growing up in New York City, I've seen a lot of people, talented people on the streets, and
Well, I've had this philosophy for a long time, and I was lucky to read these books. I recommend them, the Conversations with God books. He talks a lot about this. Supposedly, it's God speaking in the books. He says that you don't want equality. What you need to have for an enlightened society, he's talking about an enlightened world, a happy world, is equal opportunity. Equal opportunity for every citizen, every person born. And you have a safety net for those people that don't necessarily have the same opportunities. They're born retarded, or they get hit by a car early in life. We don't have a world where everybody is equal. Okay? So you do need to have these safety nets for people that are maybe mentally challenged or had a terrible upbringing or were abused or they're handicapped. But you need to also, for able-bodied or strong people, you need to be able to provide for them an equal opportunity to express themselves in business or go to school. They should be able to have medical, go to school, be able to travel. And so he says capitalism, there's nothing wrong for working hard is a good thing. All of nature works hard. Okay, so those that everyone has the same opportunity as everybody else, then it's okay, because the hardworking son just is gonna get more than the partying son because he's earning it. And he's putting in sweat and labor and he's doing business. So that's okay. You know, if you work hard, you go to school, you study, you should be able to have better things because you earned it. But tell that to someone in Nigeria that they don't even have the possibility to go to school, okay? They want to. I talk to them on the phone, a lot of them. They struggle to get rice for the day. That's their struggle. So they're in survival mode. They really want those, but we have a world designed that is not equal opportunity world.
Do you ever think there would be a world where everyone has an equal opportunity?
We could easily design it if we got rid of the criminals, the scumbags that run the earth. They design the world to not have equal opportunity on purpose so that they can fill their pocketbooks with billions and billions of dollars by exploiting the poor classes that they create. So they purposely create these poor classes around the world that have no opportunities. And when we could design it that we could easily, in this day and age, we should have gotten past all of that. We should have a world of equal opportunity. We should.
I just have one thing to mention about the potential and like losing potential in today's society. When this is gonna get really personal for a second, but last year I was struggling really bad with a mental illness of mine, and it landed me in a hospital a couple of times for really prolonged stays because I just couldn't pull myself out of it. And when I returned back to school, I was expected to make up everything that I missed, and my grades were failing and they were just constantly slipping because I was stuck in this like landslide of late work and missing work, and because of that my grades have just failed. And I was a much smarter student before all of that happened. I was excelling, I was preparing to graduate from high school early, like I was putting in applications at colleges for interviews so I could get like early acceptance, and I was doing so incredibly well, and I had scholarship opportunities. But the second my grades started slipping, because I had that momentary like setback, which actually has been prolonged because I still haven't been able to pull myself together enough to like get my grades up and get back into applying for colleges and stuff like that. Even though it's my senior year now, it's kind of just the tail end of it all. So I kind of got screwed over and lost a lot of the potential I could have had to really do something with my life just because of like a month spent in the hospital. And that's really upsetting.
And isn't that kind of sad how like our education system isn't really set for us to succeed? It's more pass, take tests, get out of here, and they don't teach us anything, life skills. They don't teach us about mental health. I go to school up here and they throw kids in their dorm room and give them assignments, tell them to go in Zoom class at this time, where there's a lot of people who are dealing with mental health issues and they really don't know. When you're sitting in a dorm room trying to do all this work, and a lot of people far away from home and they feel isolated, and COVID happening and there's not much going on, so you feel even more isolated. And a lot of people don't know what to do then, you know what I mean? Like a lot of kids that I talk to on campus, they go to college and they rush it, but never realizing what they actually want to do or take time to help themselves. And you know, there's people on even the internet posting videos of them crying all the time, saying that they're depressed, that they don't know if they can go through it, but they have to, because whether they think it's right for society or their parents are making them do it. Like, I think it's sad, you know?
I had a teacher once, and there was a student, and he asked, why don't the teachers teach us stuff about investing and mental issues and emotional stuff? And she was like, oh, well, your family has to tell you that. But a lot of people don't have family that can talk about that. Some people aren't comfortable enough to talk about stuff like that. They weren't taught that, and it's hard for families.
I don't know if you guys will agree with this, but I believe systematically, I believe that we are set up to become workers and get controlled by, you know, the people with power. And that's why we're not taught any of that. They would rather us walk through life aimlessly, struggling, and wind up like we all say.
You know what the school system, I've been out of the school system for 20 years now almost. The school system, now that when you look back upon it, and I was really into school, and I fully involved, but it is an indoctrination program. You are taught how to be a worker and fit the mold of society. That's what school is not meant to. Really, is not meant to educate you. It does in a way, but that is not a chief objective. The chief objective is to mold people. Is to turn this ball of light, 3-4-year-old ball of light that just all over the world, you know, and just wants to learn by being in the world, to a, when you get to kindergarten and first grade, you're sitting at a desk and all of a sudden you're in 4 walls and you're being told what to learn, and if you have anything that's outside of that box, a lot of times the teachers in the beginning kind of gently scold you that you need to just follow this. And as you go on year after year, you get more and more just complacent, just absorbing the information. You're not questioning things anymore. It's just, yes, that's the way it is. This is the way it is. This is the way. Pass the test. Memorize.
And do you think a lot of people see past that or no?
Most people don't.
Why?
A lot of people do.
Yeah. And do you think you have more chances succeeding if you look past it?
Depends on your definition of success.
The guy looked like Albert Einstein a little bit.
Wow. Depends on your definition of success. I think that those that are
Finding happiness, do you think you have a better chance of finding happiness?
finding happiness, if that's your definition of success, sometimes finding happiness does not necessarily mean that you have all the suburban house and the, you know, and the race car and things like that. You can follow your heart and get those things too. There's no rule. But what we need in society is those that break the mold. But you want to contribute as well. But you want to give. Every day you want to give energy to the world. Money is a representation of energy. So if you give energy to the world, money will come to you.
Do you think the mold that they shaped us to believe is the right mold?
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, my definition of the mold is you're born, you go to school, they take your creative thoughts away, they take your creativity away, and they tell you go in college. Now you go to college, now you're in debt. Now they tell you to find that job, that doesn't necessarily make you happy or give you the lifestyle that you want.
It pays the bills.
But it pays the bills, and you think you did the right thing because that's what.
Because you're paying the bills.
Yeah.
You're paying the bills. Well, I think that a lot of older people look back on their lives and they regret it. They paid the bills. They had good times,
Yeah.
But a lot of times they go, I really wanted to be a rock star and I never even tried.
That's my biggest fear, to be stuck in a useless, boring
You
job.
guys look like you have to go.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Right before you guys leave, I want you guys to tell everybody the best piece of advice that you think they should hear. What's something, if you could tell the world that they should know, what's something you would tell them?
I think stay true to yourself. Look past everybody else's beliefs and their opinions and go for what you think you should do. Follow your heart.
Like she said, you need to be true to yourself. I think you should evaluate and question everything and spread more peace, love, and positivity.
Personally, I need the reminder constantly, so I figure a lot of other people do too, that it's not always going to be perfect, but life makes you stronger before it makes you happier.
I want to thank you guys so much. This conversation is insane. We got personal, and I'm hoping this helps you guys personally. I'm hoping it helps whoever views this. I'm hoping you guys continue this. Not one day, not 2 days.
Yeah.
We will.
Listen,